I'm going to say something people don't expect at my age. I wish I hadn't stopped working when I did. That usually lands wrong. People assume I'm joking, or bitter, or that I'm about to explain myself. I'm not. Everyone thinks stopping is the reward. Like a line you cross. Like something opens up on the other side. I thought that too. For a long time. I believed time was something you save. That if I stopped early enough, I'd have more of it later. More days. More quiet. More room. Later came. It just didn't look the way I'd been carrying it in my head. There's a silence that shows up when you stop being necessary. Not dramatic. Not cruel. Just steady. I'm old enough now that people don't ask follow-up questions. They nod. They smile. They assume whatever I say belongs to memory, not reality. But this isn't memory. It's accounting. I used to run toward a picture, not a goal. A picture. Me, older, unbothered, free. I said that word a lot back then. Free. I worked long hours. Longer than I admitted. Missed things I pretended weren't important. I told myself it was temporary. That I was buying something invisible. I didn't hate the work. That's what surprises people. It wasn't suffering. It was structure. There were mornings when I woke up already needed. Already behind. Already expected somewhere. I complained. Of course. Everyone does. But complaints don't always mean you want something gone. Sometimes they're just proof you're still inside the world. The illusion wasn't that retirement would be easy. It was that stopping would feel like arrival. I thought the days would open up, stretch, invite me in. Instead, they just sat there. When you're working, time pushes back. You feel it resist you. That friction makes a sound. When you stop, the sound disappears. No one tells you that silence can feel like being erased slowly. Not painfully, just without ceremony. I imagined waking without alarms, without urgency. I got that. What I didn't imagine was how often I'd look at the clock anyway. Not to go somewhere, just to confirm it was still moving. No one ever shows you the full cost. Not because they're hiding it, because it doesn't exist yet. When I retired, there were numbers. Clear ones, comforting ones, savings, plans, margins. What wasn't, there was the line for absence. I didn't miss the big things at first. I missed the interruptions. The knock, the call, the question that assumed I knew the answer. Those things feel like annoyances when you have too many of them. They feel like proof when you have none. There's a cost to being done. It arrives slowly. Longer mornings. Afternoons you don't remember finishing. Evenings that don't ask anything of you. I paid that price without noticing the withdrawals. I thought rest would feel like relief. Sometimes it did. Briefly. Mostly it felt like standing in a room after everyone else left. The chair's still warm. The light's still on. You don't realize how much of yourself is rented. Borrowed from schedules. Returned quietly when they're no longer needed. I didn't lose everything. That would be easier to explain. I lost the edges. Days without edges blur. They stack without weight. I started forgetting what day it was. Then what month. Not because of age. Because it didn't matter. There was a night when I realized something had ended. Not officially. Not ceremonially. I was sitting alone. Not doing anything in particular. No television. No book. I noticed there hadn't been a single unexpected sound all day. No phone. No door. No one needing clarification. It struck me then that nothing was waiting for me tomorrow. Not even something small. I wasn't sad. I was alert. Like hearing a noise stop after years of background hum. I tried to remember the last time someone assumed I'd be somewhere. Not invited. Assumed. I couldn't place it. That's when the quiet stopped feeling neutral. It started to feel like confirmation. I went to bed without setting an alarm. I hadn't set one in years. But that night felt different. I lay there listening to my own breathing. It sounded louder than it used to. I wondered, briefly, if this was what peace felt like. Then I realized peace usually comes with contrast. This was just absence. I slept. Of course I did. But something stayed behind in that room. And it didn't come back the next morning. After that, nothing dramatic happened. No collapse. No crisis. Just days. I learned how to fill them. Anyone can. Errands. Habits. Small projects that don't ask much. Consequences don't arrive loudly. They arrive as adjustments. I became very good at being low maintenance. At not needing. I told myself it was dignity. It also made me easy to forget. Friends faded gently. Not because of conflict. Because there was no reason to keep pace. Conversations shortened. Then thinned. I noticed I started repeating stories. Not for emphasis. For continuity. It's hard to keep a sense of self without friction. Without someone pushing back. I adapted. But adaptation isn't the same as acceptance. Some days I feel almost transparent. Like I could pass through a room without disturbing the air. I don't mind it most of the time. But some evenings, I try to remember when being visible stopped feeling natural. When it became something you earned. People talk about loneliness like it's dramatic. It isn't. It's practical. It's waking up without needing to speak. Then realizing you haven't spoken all day. Thoughts don't get shaped by response. They just echo. Being alone doesn't hurt at first. It dulls. You stop rehearsing sentences. Stop refining opinions. There's comfort in not being observed. There's also drift. Without resistance, movement feels meaningless. Sometimes I talk out loud. Just a sentence. Not because I'm afraid. Because silence doesn't answer back. I wonder if being alone too long makes you quieter inside. Or if it just reveals how much noise other people were carrying for you. If there was a mistake, it wasn't stopping work. It was believing work was the problem. I blamed the hours. The pressure. I mistook exhaustion for emptiness. They feel similar when you're tired enough. I thought I was running toward freedom. I was running away from obligation. I didn't understand that obligation is often the last thing tying you gently to others. When that tie loosens, it doesn't snap. It frays. I don't blame myself. I did what made sense with the information I had. But sometimes, I wish I'd questioned my certainty more. Not the decision. The story I told myself about it. I believed real life was waiting somewhere else. Quieter. Cleaner. It wasn't. It just kept going. I don't believe in fixing things anymore. There's no alternate version of me waiting somewhere. Still, I think about adjustments. I would have stayed involved longer. Not productive. Present. I would have let myself be inconvenienced. More often. I protected my time like it was fragile. Turns out unused time doesn't strengthen. It thins. Thinking this way doesn't change anything. It just sharpens the outline. I misunderstood what I was trading away. And I understood it after the exchange was final. No one tells you when you're leaving the center of things. You don't say goodbye. You just stop being included. At first it feels like relief, then habit. I don't remember the last time someone needed me urgently. Life doesn't end with a moment. It tapers. You become optional, then peripheral, then background. There's a farewell most people never notice. Not to life, to relevance. It doesn't hurt. That's why it works. You don't mourn it. You adapt. And one day you realize you've been gone for a while already. Time hasn't run out. It's just narrowed. And as the days continue to arrive, without asking anything of me, I find myself listening for something I can't quite name, and wondering whether it already said goodbye.